Peter S. in the chat, thank you so much for the 5 spot, says, it cannot be understated how nice these new unis are. I believe the Jets should play their starters for 1 or 2 series versus the Giants. Agree or no? Ooh. So do we want to take... Everyone should vote in the live chat right now because we are like almost at a dead heat between button-ups versus button-downs. I'm like shocked how close this winds up being. Because I want to do a poll question of should the starters play at all, yes or no, as far as poll question goes. But I guess we'll give our thoughts first before we open it up to the chat. My thinking is I don't want them to play. And the thought process there is I don't think the Giants are necessarily going to play their starters. And if they do, there's still a bunch of guys that are trying to like earn their starting role. And I don't want some, I don't call him a gym class hero, whatever, like some hero practice squad player trying to make the team and his last gasp of NFL juice. And he's like, I can make a name for myself if I clean Aaron Rodgers' clock. I don't want that happening. So yeah. I would be more than okay just going into the season with a little bit of rust going into the 49ers game than rolling the dice on our starters playing and someone getting hurt, especially since Saleh had already ruled out Rodgers, and then he's like, well, I guess if Rodgers wants to play, we'll have that discussion. Then Rodgers now says, it's totally up to Robert. I think you just say no, and you just call it what it is, and you just go into the regular season. So I would say no starters versus the Giants, but I would say I want to see Olu, I want to see Will McDonald, and that's probably about it. Matt, your thoughts on starters versus the Giants?
So I'm going to take a very middleman Matt stance and say that I could see both sides of the coin on this one. I really can. For what you're saying, you don't want to put your guys in a risky spot against someone who has nothing to lose, so to speak. We unfortunately saw that with Mark Sanchez in 2013 when he goes in against third stringers and with like fourth string offensive line, and then he ends up getting hurt and you lose him for the season. It's frustrating, when stuff like that happens. At the same time, to the people who say, well, I'm nervous that they're not going to gel right away at the start of the year. I think they need their reps. That makes sense too. And I get that argument on it. Honestly, I am not going to worry about it because I think Robert Saleh has already made it clear that they're not going to play. I know he's said that, we'll decide on after Wednesday, but every single thing, like just reading tea leaves, is pointing to the Jets not playing their starters. They had a rest day today right before their joint practice, which they've treated the joint practices like games. So essentially today was like a walkthrough before their game action or scrimmage against the Giants starters tomorrow. So I think we're going to be watching the Andrew Peasley, Adrian Martinez, and Brandon Smith show against the Giants. I would not expect to see any Garrett Wilson catches from our guy, unfortunately.
Green Bean, starters playing versus the Giants, yes or no?
Well, I'm talking to Palikar in the chat. He brought up another time. We played our starter, Chad Pennington, in the preseason game against the Giants. Some scrub went in, grabbed a little bit late. By today's standards, it would have absolutely been a penalty. Picked Chad Pennington up, slammed him on his wrist, broke his wrist, out for the season. I'd rather sit Aaron Rodgers. Just like you said, I want to see him. I like the idea of one drive, but just like you said, dude, they're in the joint practices. They're doing the whole thing. Going out there and putting him on the field with second, third stringers, trying to make a name for themselves, playing a little bit for, after the whistle, just all that kind. It's not worth it. You said it perfectly. I'd rather them have a little bit of rust than starting the season with Tyrod Taylor.
What's up, guys? Matt O'Leary from Talkin' Jets. If you liked that video, please make sure to subscribe and follow for more New York Jets content.